Hey, Mr. Kong. Sorry we didn't give you a call back, but we just wanted to let you know that you got the job. Donkey Kong, we need your help, and I think you got just the thing to make this next big thing a success. So, please don't send any more emails.
Okay.
They did it! They actually did it. Nintendo officially announced the Nintendo Switch 2 like a couple months ago, and they announced that we are going to get a direct based on the Nintendo Switch 2. It's going to be the official unveiling, and that happened yesterday, April 2nd. With this direct, it was about an hour long, and they talked about the kitchen sink of what they were cooking with the Switch 2. So this is a hardware showcase where they showed the new Joy-Cons. The Joy-Cons are magnet-based. No more rails to slide in the Joy-Con. It's a bigger screen. Overall, everything is bigger in this unit. It's an LCD screen, not OLED. But with this, they have given us basically what I was hoping for, which was the quality of life improvements for a Nintendo Switch. Now, I love the Nintendo Switch so much. It is one of my dream systems. Like I've said it a bunch of times on this channel, talking about portability in the future and all that other stuff. It is a machine that I truly dreamt of as a kid, and I could not believe that we finally got something like that in 2017. It solved all of my problems. I can finally play a console version of a game on the go, and I don't need to rely on a NVIDIA Shield streaming or whatever. I can play the Breath of the Wild, I can play Zelda, I can play Mario, I can play Sonic, whatever, and I can pick it right off the dock and take it anywhere. The Switch was a dream machine for me, and over time there's been other machines that have graced our presence, such as the Steam Deck, which I have talked about quite a bit on the channel. I love this thing. I think it is an incredible device, and I'm playing WWE 2K on it, Metal Gear Solid, Grand Theft Autos. Like, I'm playing a bunch of stuff on the go on here, and it has taken me away from the Nintendo Switch. However, whenever I do go back to the Nintendo Switch, like I've been playing a lot lately, you just forget how good everything runs, and it just works well. And what I mean by how good everything runs is I don't need to mess with settings. If the game looks like poop, it looks like poop on the Switch, but it just works. It boots up, has a basic loading time, and it goes. And with the Switch 2, the best thing about it is it's just a huge quality of life improvement. So what I mean by that is, like what I've already said, it's a bigger unit, bigger games, bigger power. There's a lot more to this system than I think I was really expecting. So the Joy-Cons are also confirmed to be mice. They can also be used like a mouse, which is really neat. So you have your Joy-Con, and you can go ahead and slide it and use this for different gameplay tactics, which is pretty cool. They showed like Civ 7 and a couple other games. There's like a brand new game that Nintendo's making where it is essentially like for lack of a better term, it's like handicapped basketball, which I think is really cool. So you use the Joy-Cons and you hold them both, and then you can move your cart and then you shoot, and there's motion controls and everything, and that's all crazy and interesting. And Nintendo was a little bit all over the place here, and I was very excited for what was going on. So they started with Mario Kart World, the 9th installment in Mario Kart, and this is what everybody was expecting. It's an open world Mario Kart game. It's very exciting. It honestly reminded me of like a Mario Kart Burnout Paradise, which is a game, oddly enough, I've also been playing a lot on my Switch, where in Burnout Paradise you have this gigantic map and you can travel from one place to another. There's race circuits that ask you to go to the Wildcats baseball stadium, to the Sky Farm all the way up in the corner, and there's all these different things, and you race across the map. And Mario Kart World kind of looks like that. You know, it's race from this Donkey Kong themed level to Dino Park, and there's like interstitial levels in between, and you can go off the rails. You can grind now. There's wall jumping. There's so much going on. There's costumes for these characters, and it looks great. I think my biggest thing with Mario Party, and I was talking to my brother-in-law about this, is watching Mario Party or Mario Kart. I don't get the feeling of excitement. I like the concepts I'm seeing, but I don't get excited watching it. Mario Kart is very much a game where if I'm playing it, I'm having a great time. If I'm watching it, it doesn't really hit me as hard as I would hope. But they announced a bunch of new things like power of the Nintendo Switch 2. There is better download speeds. The dock has a fan. The dock can also go up to 4K. The Switch 2 works up to 120 frames per second on a 1080p LCD screen, which is really cool. And there's also HDR in the system as well. There is some Nintendo Switch games that will get updates for the Nintendo Switch 2 with a minor price bump if you want to pay for those updates, like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom will get native 4K 60 frames per second upgrades, which is really cool. That's going to be a huge improvement to play those games, as they were only locked at 30%, and they were a little choppy at times. Pokemon ZA was announced that it would also be a 60 frames locked system on both the Switch and the Switch 2, which is huge for Pokemon, because Pokemon fans, I think, have been talking about how annoying it's been with the performance of Pokemon on the Switch, so I think that's a really cool thing. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond is also getting a next generation update. You can use the mouse feature for controlling and shooting, which is really cool. So somebody was holding their Joy-Con to move around, and then they were using the other one as a mouse pointer. Really sick. It kind of evoked the Wii era of the Prime trilogy, so that's pretty neat. And that also will get 60 frames, and I believe there's also a performance mode, so you can choose graphical fidelity at 60 frames, or if you want the 120 hertz, you know, it will bump a visual, but you get ultra performance. And it's really cool to see stuff like that happening on a Nintendo console. They also announced that we are getting the GameCube as a Switch 2 exclusive part of the expansion pass. And this one really was so cool. I love the GameCube. It's one of my favorite systems, but seeing a lot of these really expensive, really hard to get, just out of the blue games that they announced were really incredible to me. So we get Wind Waker, we're getting Soul Calibur 2 with Link, we are getting F-Zero GX and all these other games that will be coming down the pipeline, like the Pokemon games, XD and Coliseum we're getting, and Fire Emblem. It is going to be unreal, and I think Nintendo kind of just being like, here you go, here's the GameCube games everybody has been wanting. And on top of that, it also feels like a great backhand to all the resellers of people who are like, well, I'm not going to play my game, or I'm not going to play the GameCube, I'm just going to buy these really expensive games and resell them. This feels like a huge FU to those types of resellers, and I'm so happy about that, because I'm very excited to just play GameCube on the go. I was actually saying the other day, Soul Calibur 2, any version, Spawn, Heihachi, Link, I will play that game forever. Soul Calibur 2 is one of the greatest fighting games of all time. It is in my top 5. I love that game, so the fact that I'm going to be able to have it on the go right then and there, HD, all that stuff with Link, so sick. Cannot wait for that. But then as the showcase was going on, we started to see a little bit more from the publishers. So the publisher partners, there is going to be a exclusive From Software game. I don't remember what it was called. It was like the Dusk Blood or something like that. It looked like a Bloodborne-esque Bloodborne game that's not Bloodborne for the Nintendo Switch. There's a dude that turned into like a dinosaur. It looked sick. I'm really bad at those games, but I will probably try it out. It looked very interesting. And then Nintendo started talking about some more of their partnerships, like 2K is getting involved, EA is getting involved, a lot of the big names that you expect. CD Projekt Red is bringing over Cyberpunk. And there's so much of the partner showcase that you would naturally expect. If Nintendo is going to be making this more powerful machine, you are going to be seeing a lot of those more powerful titles coming over to the Switch 2. This is probably the best thing about the Switch 2, is now we can finally get games in 60 frames and more. Like, I've been playing Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2. I've reviewed it for WenzReviewz on Instagram in 2020 or 2021, whenever that game came out, on my PC. I always wanted a portable copy. When it came out for the Switch, I've got it on a good sale, and I've been playing it. I finished all the levels. I really am enjoying it. It's 30 frames. It looks great. But man, when they showed Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4 for the Switch 2 and it's 60 frames, that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. I'm very excited for the smooth gameplay of a lot of these third-party titles. And I just can't wait to see what happens with a lot of these titles, what games I already own that will get a bump in quality as time goes on. It's very exciting. So as the show was coming down to the last couple of announcements, we saw Kirby falling out of the sky and he was on his little star. And I could have sworn at first this was going to be some pseudo Smash announcement, just because I feel like every time they show Kirby, I'm just like, it's gotta be Smash Brothers or something. But I was pleasantly surprised that this is a Kirby Air Ride sequel called Kirby Air Riders, still being made by Sakurai, who also does Super Smash Brothers, which is really exciting. And we're probably going to get Kirby Air Ride on the GameCube collection. So if nobody was able to play that game originally, you're probably going to have the option at some point, maybe later this year. Alright, I think I covered everything for the most part about this Direct. There was a lot of cool stuff, like Street Fighter 6 is also coming to the Switch 2. It's getting amiibos. Amiibos aren't going anywhere. Amiibos are still a thing. There's a lot of other exclusives coming, like a Hyrule Warriors sequel of Age of Calamity. And on top of all this stuff, yeah, the big one happened. I could not believe what I was seeing. But on top of that, I prayed for this. I was hoping for this. And we finally got the new Donkey Kong 3D open world experience that there's been rumors. There was rumors that were discarded. People brought back the rumors. It's gonna be a country, a threequel. It comes back. Donkey Kong's getting no love. Why the hell does Donkey Kong look like that in Mario Kart 9? And this is our answer. Donkey Kong Bonanza. Wow. This trailer genuinely got me choked up, as this has been something that I have been hoping for years. If you go ahead and you watch a lot of my direct reactions just over the past couple years, I remember very similarly, I would set up my back shelf right here in the theme of Donkey Kong. I'd pull out all the amiibos. I'd have King K. Rool, Diddy Kong, whatever, slapped all over this thing. So when I saw Bonanza's trailer and what they were doing, this truly looks like a breath of fresh air, and Donkey Kong is fully reimagined into his classic counterpart. More so this little guy right here. He looks original, looks fresh. It is a really interesting style. No King K. Rool in sight, which is okay so far. I really hope he's a surprise in this game. But there was some familiar faces like Espresso wearing kicks and all this other stuff. It was really cool. There's costumes. Donkey Kong has never been more expressive than this game. And it's coming out, ironically, 2 days after my 30th birthday. So I was buzzing seeing this announcement. Very excited. It looks like Mario Odyssey was designed with Donkey Kong in mind. So if I'm going to be able to completely build out a Donkey Kong decked out in, a tuxedo or something, and him just beating the crap out of everything, I'm all for it. Now, I know there's some gameplay and stuff out there already with, I guess, a Nintendo Treehouse happened, and they announced some things. I'm trying to stay a little bit distant because I don't want to be spoiled on too much. I don't think I really would be, but just the nature of things and how news travels, this stuff is potentially going to be big. So Donkey Kong Bonanza easily has become my most anticipated game of 2025. And June is the announcement or the release date of the Nintendo Switch 2, and pre-orders start April 9th. So it's been crazy. It's been a crazy 24 hours with this announcement. I've been talking to my friends, talking to my family about it, asking them about, certain things. I didn't even talk about it, but Nintendo also added game chat, and they added a Discord full feature to the Nintendo Switch 2. You can buy a camera attachment, you can plug it in, and it will literally watch you, and it'll project you on Mario Kart. If you're in a Discord call, it's all called game chat, Nintendo's game chat, and there's a game chat button on the Pro controllers, the Joy-Cons, and all that other stuff. But holy shit, Nintendo did it. And the first thing I said to my friend who did call me after I watched it, Matt, he was like, "This is unreal. Did you watch it?" And I'm like, "Dude, I can't believe what I'm seeing." And I have a bunch of videos in mind that I've been meaning to work on, but just time. And everything just keeps escaping me. But truly, I feel like Nintendo kind of just gets it. And with the announcement of the Switch 2, Nintendo's Switch handheld in general, just the Switch system, you play it, there's no online ads, no nothing all over the interface. I feel like when I'm picking up a Nintendo Switch, I'm going to play it, and it's for gaming, right? There's not a lot of apps on it. There's Hulu and stuff, but it's mostly video game focused. So I feel like the Switch 2 was pulling some of that essence of the PS3, the Xbox 360 era of communication into the modern lens with the Nintendo Switch 2, if that makes any sense. I'm very vocal, and I love my memories of the PS3 and the Xbox 360. What an amazing time. I feel like gamers were the most social they've ever been during those years, and I feel like the Switch 2 could bring that back. Now, obviously, they showed off some friend features and different upgrades and stuff, but Nintendo finally feels like they are firing on all cylinders. And with the capabilities of the power of the Switch 2 and their right mindset of we destroyed in the Switch, we figured it out, but now we got the power behind the Switch. This is going to be a huge system, and it's truly, in my opinion, the first time in a long time that I've been truly excited for modern gaming. And I hate being like that, but truthfully, E3's going away, all this other stuff going away, the Nintendo Switch 2 feels like a sense of we're coming back, man. We're getting that feeling of classic video games, and I cannot wait to talk about this thing further. I cannot wait to talk about Donkey Kong Bonanza and all these other things. I was gonna do a Nintendo Direct reaction, but just with how work was, the Direct started while I was at work. I didn't want to be in the dark for that long because I knew I was gonna be spoiled. So I was able to watch it, and I've been gathering my thoughts over the last 24 hours, and here's probably a longer than expected video of me talking about the Nintendo Switch 2. But truthfully, I loved what I saw, and I'm fully on board. I'm ready to pre-order. I cannot wait. The Street Fighter amiibos are really sick, and the quality of life improvements seem really cool, and I'm just really excited to be a gamer right now. Talking about Nintendo, seeing Metroid Prime Beyond, and all this other stuff happening, it feels good. And Nintendo just gets it. They just get it. So we will talk about all of this in the future soon, but I wanted to go ahead and make a video about my opinions on the Nintendo Switch 2. Sorry this dragged on a little bit. Sorry it was a little all over the place, but I'm very excited for the Nintendo Switch 2. But please, if you were interested in any of the video games announced at the show, please leave a comment in the comments down below about what you thought about the Direct. So as always, my name is Brandon, and I will see you all next time.